Hello, today we are going to install the EndeavourOS Linux distribution in a virtual machine using virt manager and QEMU. And then we're going to set up, install KDE Plasma version 5 and set up kdesrc-build in order to build KDE Git repositories from source. So EndeavourOS is a Linux distribution based on Arch Linux. It uses the Calamares installer and has the capability of installing KDE Plasma 5. And in distrovas.com, for the page hit ranking last 6 months, it's on the second place. Okay, so this is the Linux distribution. 3 years ago, July 2019, latest release 22.12, 19th of December 2022, uses Pacman, the same package manager as in Arch Linux, and this is the website. So let's install it and see. So downloads, latest release. It says that this ISO is a combined offline and online installer, and the offline installer comes with xfce, while the online option provides the option of installing KDE Plasma. Okay. Where is the download? Let's go with this file. Let's create a directory for today. Let's put it in the delete directory. (22 megabytes per second). 45 seconds left. Okay. Let's read some more about this Linux distribution. These are the news, the releases. Okay, so it finished downloading. Now let's open virt manager. Create a new virtual machine. Forward, let's select the ISO. EndeavourOS. Automatically detect Arch Linux. Forward. I have 32 gigabytes of RAM, so I'm going to use 10 gigabytes of RAM for this virtual machine. 15 vCPUs out of 16 threads that my CPU has. Let's make this 200 gigabytes. Arch Linux customized before network selection, the only option. Okay, finish. Said, would you like to start the virtual network default? Yes. Let's look through how the virtual machine is configured. Name Arch Linux, KVM, the best motherboard, BIOS, CPU. Let's put just one CPU socket and 15 cores and 1 thread per core. Okay. The disk is VirtIO, which gives us the best speed possible. Great. The CD-ROM is SATA, not a problem. Network interface card is VirtIO, which gives us the best speed. Okay, tablet, which means that Arch Linux will use new technologies, so these virtual machines. So this is it, begin installation. Okay, what does it say? EndeavourOS default. So it booted into the xorg server. Using the user live user. Start the installer. If we go online, we can choose our desktop. If we go offline, we must use XFCE, so online. Okay. Welcome to the EndeavourOS installer. Let's go with English. Okay, this is the Calamares OS installer application. We go next. Let's go with New York. Next. English US default. Next. Please pick one of the desktops from the list. How? Oh, from the left hand side. So Plasma, KDE Plasma. Okay, next. It pre-selects some packages. Firefox Local. KDE Desktop. Okay. I'm not sure if I want to keep the EndeavourOS apps. Let's go with OS apps this time. Okay. Nothing else to select here. Next. I want grub2. I want to use my virtual hard disk. I want to use the entire the entire virtual hard disk. No swap, no hibernate, swap with hibernate. Okay, now this is a cool feature. So I'm in a virtual machine, no need to increase the size of the swap such that I can hibernate to more than 10 gigabytes. And let's go with swap file. What is this? Swap to file. Okay. So swap no hibernate creates a swap partition that's less than 10 gigabytes, which is the size of my RAM. Swap hibernate creates a swap partition that's a bit bigger than 10 gigabytes, such that the entire RAM can be written to the swap partition to hibernate. And swap to file creates just one partition, and the swap, there will be a swap file. Okay, I want ext4 for the best speed that I can get. I want to build many KDE Git repositories on this machine, so speed is really important for me. MBR sounds good. So not GPT GUID partition table, but MBR, master boot record partition table. Next. Your name. Okay. Why did I choose Arch Linux? That's ugly. Okay, password. Login automatically without asking, no. Use the same password for the administrator account. What is this? Administrator, which means the root account, probably. What if I want sudo and no passwords on the root account? Okay, so my name, name of the computer, password, next. Okay, and this is the summary. MS-DOS partition table, one partition, dev VDA1, ext4, boot, install bootloader. Sounds okay. Will not be able to undo, install now. So it syncs the metadata about putting the list of packages available in the Pacman repositories. Update mirror list. I'm not sure it can connect to the internet. Just a second. Okay, I'm not sure what it did. There was a bit of a couple of minutes without internet connection. Now it says all done. Let's see. Next doesn't do anything. Done. Restarts. I'll reinstall if I don't have the operating system installed correctly on my virtual hard disk. Okay, so this is GNU Grub, which is okay. and this is SDDM. Okay, let's see that the CD-ROM has disappeared. Yes, it did. Let's log in. After install tasks, what is this? Update the list of mirrors before system update. Update list of mirrors before system update. I wouldn't know what these things do. Yeah, let's run update the system, see what this thing does. Arch Endeavour and EndeavourOS update check. There is nothing to do. Our update check, EUR update check, nothing to do. Enter. Okay. So it indeed installed during the installer, the ISO installer, KDE Plasma from the repositories. So it was an online installer. That means that there are no packages to install to update the system. Let's see what are the pacman basic commands. Update minus uppercase S YU minus SS to search minus S minus uppercase S lowercase s to search minus uppercase S to install, and then there's groups, removing minus uppercase R, and minus uppercase R lowercase s probably is something like apt auto remove in Debian based distributions. Okay, 2 Ys for force refreshing the metadata about the package repositories. Okay, so this should be enough for now. Okay, so we are connected to the virtual machine using QEMU Vert Manager, which is wrong. We need to connect using openssh, so let's do that. So let's see, who am I? Administrator, do I have sudo powers? Any tasks for the password of administrator? Okay. Do I have an openssh server? Doesn't look like. dbus, firewall, dnetwork manager, sddm, journal d, login d, timesync d, udev d, udisks, upower, and there's user, sddm helper, kwallet, start plasma x11, KDE connect, up, welcome, /sr/share/EndeavourOS/scripts/welcome. Firefox is obex.service for Bluetooth. Okay. Blue. Pipewire. Kwin. Wire plumber. Okay. Let's see how do we install openssh server. So it says Pacman, lowercase s, openssh. SSH protocol implementation for remote login, command execution, and file transfer. But is this both the server and the client? Let's find out. Proceed with installing. The 9.1 p1 sounds familiar. Okay, did it actually start it automatically? We'll see. Okay. The virtual machine details. This is probably the IP address of the virtual machine. Let's use a Kate text editor. Open a terminal. SSH. Administrator. Ctrl-Shift-V. Connection refused. Okay. Systemctl. Status OpenSSH. SSH. E says disable. So let's enable it. Enable. What was that? Now. And it's turned on and enabled. So it's both running and enabled. Okay, let's connect again. It asks me if I want to connect to this machine because I'm connecting for the first time. So I go yes. Requires my password. And now we can use a virtual machine without using the web browser inside the virtual machine. We can copy paste to the console terminal that runs the OpenSSH client. Okay. What's the next thing that we need? The correct operating system name. So correct machine name, EndeavourOS. Can we ping? Yes, we can. The web browser works. What do we need to install next? Large package, search Emacs, no X. So it's called Emacs no X. One minus S. What was that? SY. Minus S without the Y. Emacs minus no X. Okay. What else do we need? MC. Okay, what else? Crusader. the orthodox file manager. Yes. What else? xrdp. So xrdp is just in AUR. So install the xrdp from the AUR and then install the xorgxrdp from AUR. Okay, let's do that. xrdp first. How do we install things from AUR? Let's try the tool from EndeavourOS. Yay. Let's see if we have yay. Avoid running yay as root. Our helper written in Go. Show. Both AUR and repo packages. Okay. Yay minus S. Is there such a thing, minus S? I didn't see such a thing, minus uppercase S. Search and install from the repos and the AUR using yogurt mode. Installs foo while skipping checksums and PGP checks. Gets information, searches, installs from the repos or the AUR. Okay, let's do that. So I need to not be root, Control D, yay, xrdp. Let's see what does it do. So I should select 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or not 4. So I want xrdp. I do not want the git one. So xrdp, AUR, xrdp, so that's number 2. Then space, I want xorgxrdp, which is 5. Do I need git things? No. Do I need glamour? I don't know what that thing is. Do I need pulse audio module xrdp? I do not need in NVIDIA. So if I choose pulse audio module, what does that give me? I know, maybe audio playback in YouTube. Let's go without. So I've selected just 2, which is AUR, which is this AUR package. And every time I install xrdp, I also install xorgxrdp. Okay, so it says install xrdp and then xorgxrdp, both from AUR. So I press enter, checking for inner conflicts. Remove make dependencies after install. Enter to choose no. Diffs to show. I know what that thing does. Do we want to import the PGP key needed for xorgxrdp import? Koichiro Iwao. Okay. Sudo password. Needs to download 5 packages, not from AUR, but from Arch repositories. This is GNU Auto Tools, GNU Make, GNU AutoConf, GNU Configure. Okay, what does it say? MP3, JPEG Turbo, RFX, yes. I don't need IPv6. IMLib2 /USR. Sounds okay, /etc. This is the make, so compiling the source code for xrdp. This is make install. This is make for xorgxrdp compiling. This is make install. And it said that it finished installing xorgxrdp. Okay. Start the xrdp service. Let's see that. Where are you? Okay. Enable. Now. So this both creates a symlink such that the systemd service xrdp is enabled and will start the next time I reboot my machine. And it also runs systemctl start xrdp in one line. So enable and start in one line is enable space minus minus now. Okay, it says that it's running. Okay, so I didn't install the sound support. And now let's see how complicated is it to actually start KDE Plasma from xrdp. Okay, so I'm on the host machine, connected using openssh client to the virtual machine. I'm creating a new tab in console, Ctrl+Shift-T, and now I'm connecting to the virtual machine using the RDP protocol. So I'm using an RDP client, which is xfreerdp. Let's see what the command line is like. So we'll need a thing like this. Ctrl+V, different IP address. I don't need to specify a port. Let's go with 1080p, which is my current resolution. So that's 1080. Okay, by 1920. No password. User is name administrator. Okay, and I need some other goodies. What can I say additionally? /video. Okay, so this thing. Let's not forward sound for now. Okay, I could do it. No drives, clipboard is redirected by default. Okay, I did with, I did video. Okay, not toggle false full screen. No TLS, no timeout, no title, no sound for now. Smart card size, I have the size. No protocols. Okay, no scaling, RFX. Control V. Okay, what else? No proxy, no printers. No password. Speed, I want the best speed possible, which is /network. The best one is LAN, local area network. Monitors, mouse, microphone, logging, keyboard, mapping, JPEG, heartbeat, height, grab keyboard. It grabs the keyboard by default. Okay, GFX. Did I go GFX? Okay, and just one thing, just two things are missing. Dynamic resolution, such that I can resize the window, the RDP client window. I don't do drives for now. Clipboard is redirected by default. And the last one is this thing, which is set by default, but still I'm going to set it by hand. Bits per pixel color depth, so I'm going with 32, which is the best. Okay, that's it. Let's see if this thing works. Ctrl-Shift-V. And it failed because broken pipe. Okay, back to the wiki page. Start the xrdp service. It started and running. Okay, I'll be back in a second after I can connect successfully using the RDP protocol. Okay, so the problem turned out to be firewall D. So this is a virtual machine. I'm using it for building KDE software from Git repositories. I need this virtual machine to be as fast as possible. That's why I went with ext4, just one partition, NVMe, PCIe 3, 10 gigabytes of RAM, so I don't need anything to keep me from using this virtual machine. So I do not need any form of firewall. So I went ahead and uninstalled firewall D, which is this thing, pacman -r firewall D. Then I restarted the machine, this thing. Then I was able to reconnect both via SSH and now also via the RDP client. Okay, I'm not connected using the keyboard and mouse, and I'm not using the Virt viewer, Virt manager. Instead, I'm using the RDP protocol. So do I trust this machine? Yes. Okay, so this is the xrdp, xfreerdp client. I told it to use 1080p resolution, but then I also said that the RDP client can resize, so it did resize to fit a maximized window. Okay, so let's go with my password and let's see what it starts. Okay, so this is how it looks like when the configuration file is not correct for the xrdp server. So that's this thing, where I have a tilde/.x init.rc file and also a /etc/xrdp/xrdp.ini file, which actually will start what's in here in this file, /etc/xrdp/start vm.sh. So I'll create the correct incantation, I'll edit this file as needed, and then once I can connect using the RDP client to KDE Plasma session, I'll be back. Okay, so xorgxrdp-ctl-r says that xrdp session cannot start the X server, and then it gives me a command line that it uses to start the X server. So I took the command line. It's not executing it as root, but as the user administrator. And then that complains saying that xorg.rep only console users are allowed to run the X server. Okay, so this is a thing that I have encountered many times before. Let's look at man xorgxrep. xorg.rep says that the default configuration can be overridden if you have such a file. And in there, I need allowed users equals anybody. Like this. The default is console, so console means you can start the X server from the actual keyboard and mouse of the machine. So this being a virtual machine, that means using Virt Manager. But I'm not using Virt Manager, I'm using xrdp, which is an RDP server, and so I'm not using the hardware mouse and keyboard of the machine. So I will need to allow anybody to start the X server. Okay, it's really ugly that xorgxrdp and xrdp do not figure out that this is the problem and do not show it in the graphical user interface in here. Should say in here, should say I try to start the X server and the X server has returned the error, this thing, /usr/lib/xorg.wrap, only console users are allowed to run the X server. Okay, so I need to be root, which I am. Where am I? I need to edit this configuration file, which does not exist. Okay. I'll put just this line there. Ctrl+X, Ctrl+D. Let's start the X server again. Okay, Ctrl+C to close it. How do we restart this thing? Okay, so I've edited the configuration file in order to have just an X term without any other applications started. So that's this thing. It says uncomment the following line for debug purposes. So I'll be back when I manage to start KDE Plasma. Okay, so I've managed to connect using FreeRDP the FreeRDP client and the xrdp and xorgxrdp RDP server. So what I did is I've installed. So I'm following this wiki page, the wiki Arch Linux xrdp. I've installed xrdp using YAY. Then I've installed xorgxrdp using YAY. So that's YAY minus S xrdp Y minus S xorgxrdp. Okay. Then I needed to create this file. Okay. Then I needed to create a local file, so in my user's home directory of this file. Okay, so it says export desktop underscore session equals plasma, and then this thing, which is still from the Arch Linux wiki page xrdp in here. So it says black screen with a desktop environment. This is what I had. So I had When I connected via RDP, I had the correct mouse pointer shown, the one from KDE, but then the entire screen was black. So it might be because dbus was not properly initialized. So I can have this command line, which starts dbus correctly if needed. Okay, so not this. This line did not work, which is suggested in the KDE, so in the Arch Linux wiki page for KDE. So it says put these two lines in my .xinitrc, but did not work because dbus was not correctly started. Okay, so the correct incantation is this thing inside my non-root users home directory.xinitrc file. We have these two lines. Okay. What else? Okay. So now we can correctly connect using the SSH client and using the RDP client. Now it's time to start building KDE Git repositories. So let's do my minimal terraforming that I always do, which is enter edit mode. Track to move. Okay. This is okay. Get me Crusader. Let's configure it. No diff, no email, okay. Arch, unarch, unH, RPM, the package, 7-zip. Let's install 7-zip. Okay. Pacman minus, what was that? SS 7-zip. Okay. Pacman minus S P7-zip. Okay. Then I'll do my usual configuration. So nothing to configure in here. In here, layout compact. Nothing in here, nothing in here, nothing in here. In here, the smallest possible size for icons. Okay, view font. Let's make this one smaller. Okay. Tabs top. Okay. Nothing in here. In here we put Kate. Apply. Nothing in here, 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 nothing in here. This is all. Close. Let's now pin this icon. So pin to task manager, unpin the default KDE Plasma file manager, which is Dolphin. Move this thing up. Okay. Firefox is pinned. Let's put it in the second position. Okay, let's close the welcome screen. Let's configure Crusader a bit. So let's have more content and less Chrome. No function buttons. Embedded terminal. No toolbar. Okay. No status bar. Next. So when I resize the xfreerdp window, which is the RDP client, that will tell the RDP server to resize the xorg server. So resizing works correctly. You can resize the window any way you want. And since we can resize the window freely, we can use the web browser from the host machine. We don't need to have a web browser in the virtual machine, but we can use the web browser in the virtual machine, not a problem. Okay. Let's restart Crusader. Okay. What else do we need to do? We need to follow the KDE tutorial. So let's configure the web browser, Firefox. Not this, not that, not this, not that. Toolbars never show. Done. Settings. Tab. New tabs should always be blank pages. And downloads. Always ask. Okay. Let's search for kde.org. Okay, so this is the official KDE community's website. We go get involved. Development. So this is the wiki page which helps you start programming for KDE and which also tells you how to set up kdesrc-build, which is the framework that's used by KDE in order to build KDE Git repositories. Okay, so it says there's a prerequisite for operating system. We need either a virtual machine or to have installed Linux either in a virtual machine or on a computer. We have it installed on a virtual machine. Then it says that some Linux distributions are better suited, such as rolling release distributions Arch. So we're on EndeavourOS, which is derived from Arch. Okay. Next, so we have step 1. We need to run this command. Copy. Paste. So it says it's going to install 6 packages, and I say yes. Okay, I don't need to configure Git yet. Step 2 out of 6, configuring kdesrc-build. I need to run this command line. Okay, then I need to run this command line. So it installs many packages using Pacman, the package manager from Arch. And then it offers to edit //.bashrc, which we want. Okay, let's look. Whoa. We didn't do this thing correctly because we did it using the user root, which is the wrong idea. Okay, let's clean up after ourselves. Let's delete the KDE directory. And then there's a .config kdesrc-build rc file. Let's delete that too. MC is the orthodox file manager for the text user interface. So let's go from start. So we run this and we were the user root, not a problem. So this was step 1 out of 6. Next, step 2. I need to run this. So exit user root. I'm the user administrator. And now I should run this. Ctrl-Shift-V. Okay. Let's run this. So it wants to install packages, requires the password for sudo. The packages were already installed correctly. I say update my bashrc file. Let's look at the configuration files. So this is the configuration file for kdesrc-build. So these are the default values: branch group KF5, Qt5, correct. Include dependencies, true. The directory where it make installs. The directory where it git clones. The directory where cmake does its thing. I want this to be debug in order to be able to use a debugger such as GDP or Qt Creator IDE's debugger. Let's put the number of cores in here. Okay, what else? Stop on failure, true. Directory layout flat. So everything, all of the rest of the defaults are okay. Control S. Let's close this thing. Okay, so Kate, I have started Kate from the command line, and now Kate has is using my terminal. So in order to free my terminal, I go Control Z to background Kate BG. So Control Z and then BG. Now I have my terminal back. So the other configuration file was this one. Middle click, so select and middle click paste. Okay, what did it do? At the end of the file, it adds a block kdesrc-build, so it starts here and ends here. The block prepends the directory where kdesrc-build has git cloned, where we have git cloned kdesrc-build, the KDE Git repository, to the path. And kdesrc-build is written in Perl, so all of the files in there are executable, so we don't need to compile anything, just git clone and run the executables from there. And then there's an auto-completion function or bash and kdesrc-run. And that's it. That's it. Okay, everything looks okay. Let's do what it says here, source. So either we reboot the machine or I log off and log on again, or either I source bashrc. The correct way to do it though would be to log out and log in back again. So let's do that. Log out. Okay. And now it has closed the KDE Plasma session, that has closed the XOR server, that has closed the xrdp, so the RDP server. Okay, and now we need to connect again using the RDP client. Okay, this is the RDP server, and now the RDP server will start the xorg server and we'll start KDE Plasma. Okay, so it remembered I have some apps opened, did not remember the tabs from Mozilla Firefox, so back to kde.org, hamburger menu, get involved, 2.3 development again. Let's go back to where we were. We were at step 2 out of 6, where it says source bashrc or reboot or restart the session. So we restarted the session or reboot. Let's check that kdesrc that the tilde/.bashrc did its thing. So tilde/kd/src/kdesrc-build is the first thing in the path environment variable. Yes. Okay, so we have branch group kf5 qt5. We don't want to set up Qt. We'll use the Qt so Qt5 that it is available in the Arch package repositories. Let's look at the indexing. So that's this thing, index. I'll disable it, apply, and delete the index data. But you should do what it says in here, just add some exclusions. Okay, I'm not using any form of search, so this is okay for me. Step 3 out of 6 is install all the dependencies needed in order to build all of the KDE frameworks version 5. So let's go here for steps 5, 4, and 5. Okay. Step 4, there's Gen 2 OpenSUSE KDE Neon, so Debian derived distributions. Nothing to do for Arch. If you don't see your distro in the above list, there's nothing to do. Great. And then step 5, this thing. So it says that we should run this command. Okay. Paste sudo password. There are 13 members in group KDE SDK. Repository extra. What's KDE SDK? This thing, KDE SDK. Compare localized PO XML, dev utils, dev scripts. Okay. Let's press enter so we have the default all. Okay, we'll download half a gigabyte of things, of packages. Okay, and it already finished. Interesting. Qt5 webkit, I don't know what this thing is. Okay, back to the page where we were. So we did steps 3, 4, and 5. The next thing to do is step 6. So I'll start a new terminal, a new tab in console, Ctrl-Shift-T. And this is the command line that we need. Okay, so this kdesrc-build is the framework to build KDE Git repositories. There are more than 400 KDE Git repositories, so in order to build one, you need to know what is the list of KDE Git repositories that your KDE Git repository depends on. So for instance, if you want to build, in this example, the kcalc application, which is the KDE desktop calculator, this thing. So in order to build from KDE Git repository from Git master kcalc, you will need to build, I don't know, 40 other KDE Git repositories. What is the correct order in which you want to git clone, configure, make install those KDE Git repositories? Where the information is available in this KDE Git repository, sysadmin -repo -metadata, and kdesrc-build knows how to compute the correct order in which to build KDE Git repositories, and knows how to build each KDE Git repository correctly. So it does two things. It computes the order in which to build KDE Git repository, knows how to build each KDE Git repository. Okay, so it can either build one KDE Git repository and all of its dependencies, or what's called this is called a module, so just one KDE Git repository, and this is a module set, which contains many KDE Git repositories. And in my case, I went kdesrc-build frameworks, and that will build 88 KDE Git repositories. Okay, so hopefully all of those 88 KDE Git repositories built correctly. After that finishes, the next step is to build one random KDE Git repository, one application, to make sure that the frameworks have been built correctly and that the application starts correctly. Okay, so this is it. If a KDE Git repository does not build correctly, then the issue is probably in the step cmake configure, and it will create kdesrc-build will create a log file. You need to open that log file. You can open it because you're in console. You can control click on it. It will open in Kate, or right click on it and open URL. And at the end of the file, it will say cmake could not find a certain cmake file, and then you need to convert that the name of that cmake file that does not exist to the name of an Arch package and install that Arch package using pacman. So this is it. Thank you.